What's cracking, friends? What's going on? How are you guys this morning? Morning, afternoon, who knows, evening. We've got Howard on the community call today, which is exciting. Wait for him to join. Hope you guys brought good questions. There he is. Let's hope it worked. It's happening. Freeman, Rufat, Howard, welcome.
Hello. How's it going?
Good morning. How you doing? 7:30
Good.
out there in San Francisco.
I'm doing well, and the weather's great today.
Oh, good. I'm jealous. We have some cloudy weather, but New York summer, cannot complain. Sweet. Well, thank you as always for joining us. I think as we let more and more people stroll in, we have 120 already. People just stopping in. Maybe you can give us just a brief update of Provable, what's going on at Provable, and whatever you'd like to share, and then we can open it up for questions.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we're making a ton of progress here. ARC 41 is currently going through audit. We engaged Trail of Bits, and I believe Foundation and Demox had also engaged Veritice and ZK Security. I think also possibly Sherlock. So there's four different groups that are currently auditing it. On the Trail of Bits side, which I have visibility on, currently there's been no major findings, so that's great news. They're continuing the audit, and we're hoping to hear back from them probably at the end of this week in terms of kind of final status and readouts on that front. So feeling very good on that. On the Leo side of things, we're continuing to make progress with our updates for support for the async await syntax. We're preparing to cut a release there. And so the Leo core devs are going to be doing that soon. We've been having a weekly core devs call for folks who are interested to join that. I think you can feel free to reach out and participate. There's a tight knit group that's currently discussing future roadmap and feature additions into the Leo programming language. As for those who are new to the ecosystem, Leo is the default language of choice for writing programs on Aleo, and so that's been going smoothly. Separately, I've been working with Victor and a few others to just make sure that the PRs that are needed for Testnet Beta are all fully landed. So we have a number of pull requests that, to my understanding, Alex over at the foundation over the weekend had worked with several to ensure that they were merged in properly. And of note, there was one that I've been assisting with, which is the restrictions list feature. And that is one that is customizable to incorporate restrictions for programs, for functions and arguments. So there's quite a lot of changes that are coming in, which are all great and needed for network. But yeah, I think that those are probably the key highlights here.
Nice. Thank you so much. That indeed is quite busy over there. In terms of the core dev calls, you guys, those are happening on that's like, so yeah, as Howard mentioned, Provable is hosting these core dev calls for Leo. It's on our community calendar. It happens on Google chats, like Google Meets. And so feel free to check our community calendar out, which Eugene can link below because he's faster than me at doing anything. And you guys can easily join those calls, ask questions, just hear about the updates. So those are great. And then it's kind of like two main community. I guess there's three main community calls, right? There's the core dev Leo calls, which is owned by Provable. There's the community updates, which is owned by us as the foundation, and that's where you are now. And then there's this kind of the overall updates of network status, and that is kind of mutually owned. That happens on Discord. As you guys have probably seen, we've started moving it to Discord. That happens on Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, which I know is not an ideal time for a lot of you guys, but there we have people from Provable, people from Aleo Foundation, and then people within our ecosystem. So we have the puzzle guys, we've got the Demox guys, we've got a whole bunch of people who join, and we talk about the state of the network. And that one is a public call for anyone to join and listen in on, and yeah, share their thoughts.
Yeah, and I'll just also add, like, on the Leo side of things, I know Pranav has mentioned that the team is currently starting it off informally. We'll continue to iterate on the form and function of that. Part of that is that on the provable side, we are still ramping up our DevRel capacity and capabilities. So expect that the format to change over time. We are still trying to figure out what is the right cadence and the right format for folks, especially as we start to gauge audience size and what kind of conversations are happening and what is a priority versus not. We'll iterate and kind of refine that process on our end as well.
Totally. Sweet. Okay. Great. Let's start opening it up for questions. Few things to note. We have yeah, let's start opening it up for questions. And we can okay, cool. Eugene, thank you. Few questions from the Sherlock contest. 1, what is the purpose of having a max number of delegators in the committee?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, on the max delegators, the purpose for this is that after we exceed 100,000 roughly, we do exhibit a slowdown in the processing of everyone's stake in consensus. And just so that it's abundantly clear, in every single block increment, we do update everyone's stake balances live. And so we want to fundamentally ensure that the computation being performed here is quick and efficient in order to ensure that block times remain fast and efficient here. So the more delegators you have, the slightly slower it gets, and it becomes incrementally slower as you exceed 100,000, which is the current number for the max delegators. Now, in the future, that logic may be rewritten and it may be improved or it may be changed, in which case we can also change the limit for the max delegators.
Sweet. Is there any harm to having more than 100,000?
Great question. So, well, I guess I kind of answered that, but the short of it is yes, it would cause a slowdown in possible block times for consensus, and so we've capped it at 100,000 today. Again, like if the logic that was written there were rewritten in a different format where it could possibly be more efficient in the future, then we could exhibit it to be increased so that we could support a higher rate. Now, remember, this is also updating 100,000 entries for people in the database. And so the read write times on that are also meaningful. So, at the end of the day, the logic for performing this update is a critical one. It's being done live. And so we want to make sure that this is as performant as we can.
Sweet. And then why does split require a fee?
So Split requires a fee just like every other call. So for everyone else, my assumption here is that the split reference here is credits.aleo/split. And this is a method that allows you to split a record into two. We do charge a fixed cost here. You will actually note that this fee here is actually the lowest of any transaction or transition type in the entire network. And so it's actually a very cheap cost operation. All the other credits.aleo function calls are much more expensive. And frankly, it's because we want to make sure people can actually split their records and it doesn't cost them anything significant here. So I hope that helps to cover the answer there. One more thing I'll add, just going back to questions 1 and 2 for the Sherlock contest on the max delegator size. For those who are actually looking to be doing staking and are looking at delegation and seeing this 100,000 cap, please understand that the 100,000 cap is for delegators natively in the protocol. Now, for those who are interested in going beyond 100,000, you should observe ARC 38, which was written by the Demox folks, ARC-38 allows you to exceed 100,000 delegators. So you can have almost arbitrarily many delegators. And even more importantly, um, this delegator cap is no longer than at the 10,000 credits limit if you use ARC-38. ARC-38 allows you to fractionalize even the minimum delegator amount of 10,000 down to, 1 credit, for instance, if you'd like it down there. And what this means is that you can exceed the number of delegates because those are going to be independent program updates. And so we do technically support any number of delegator caps as long as you're using ARC-38 in this case.
Okay,
Hope that helps
sweet.
answer it.
Yeah, no, totally. Fabulous. Okay, let's see. Can the speed of transactions be increased again and as against what we have now?
Yes. The speed of transactions, and I'm assuming the speed of transactions is meaning the throughput of the chain, is my guess.
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, so the throughput of the chain can definitely be increased. In fact, the more validators that you have, the more throughput you will have here. This is one of the novelties about the Bullshark consensus algorithm. It's one of the novelties of using Narwhal and Bullshark. Unlike traditional PBFT-based systems, where as you double the number of validators, you tend to have the throughput. In these new consensus mechanisms, like the one we're using, you actually increase the throughput of the chain because you now have more redundancy and more validators offering more batches of proposals for transactions. And so when you traverse the block DAG for confirmation during consensus, you actually have a larger graph that you are traversing, and the larger graph will encompass more transactions to be processed into the block. And so theoretically, this will continue to increase as we increase the number of validators in the chain.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Howard, thank you so much. This is super helpful. Other questions, you guys? Oh yeah, code freeze is scheduled to happen this week.
Code freeze is scheduled to happen this week. I guess to my understanding, we had said the 15th, and so I guess that is technically Saturday. Yeah, I think it is Saturday, but I think everyone is acting in good faith on a Friday. So, again, like we went through a laundry list of PRs last week, which to my understanding, Alex over at the foundation had also reviewed with the team there over the weekend so that they could help get all the remaining PRs that were needed in. And so, to my understanding, we are well prepared for this now.
Okay, great. Sweet. Uh, okay. Other questions? Uh, okay. Sorry, just looking at what makes sense. What makes sense? Is there any incentive for the beta network in July?
Great question.
Yeah.
So I know Alex has shared on the core devs call, the primary Aleo core devs call last week, if I remember right, about this. He did say stay tuned. There will be incentives coming for that, and I believe that there may be even two sets of incentives. One that may be coming from us as well for provers. And my understanding is that Alex is currently also making preparations on his side for deployment incentives. But again, following on Alex's message, I would say stay tuned. We do have updates on that front, which will be exciting for the community, and they will be coming in July.
Sweet. Okay. Someone's asking about the Aleo grants program being currently paused. Is there any timeline or expectation of when the grants program will open again? I don't have insight into that. That's our BD team, but I can check with BD and let you guys know. I imagine when it does open again, it will be on Twitter, on Discord. Like we will be loud about it, so you likely won't miss it. But I will definitely let you know.
I'll also just add that my guess is that part of it being paused is that we're, as an ecosystem, everyone is currently in the process of migrating from Testnet 3 to Testnet Beta in preparation for mainnet beta. And so I think as part of that, it can be confusing where to deploy things on a grants program basis. And I'll also say for everyone who is on Testnet 3, and has deployed programs, please migrate to testnet beta as we prepare for this, because the stack has evolved, it has improved significantly. We'd love to see your programs on testnet beta, and we'd love to start indexing testnet beta programs and applications deployed now.
Totally. Um, any hints on what we should expect in the new Coinbase puzzle?
So on the Coinbase puzzle, we are now in the final stages. We are currently working through the last steps to be able to open source it. This is obviously a collaborative effort with the foundation. A big part of it is the PR review and merge process, and so we are currently gearing this thing up. And I would say stay tuned in the next month for updates on that.
Cool. Um, okay. In your opinion, what's the coolest thing merged into Snark VM that isn't one of the major ARC related works?
Oh man, where do I even begin? um, are they asking for it from the context of an arc itself? Oh, I guess that is not an arc. Okay, well, hmm.
Just kind of your opinion.
I'm super biased on this answer, but I will say that I am a huge fan of our account derivation scheme. The account derivation scheme is very unique. When I was coming up with this model, there was, to my knowledge, and certainly to the founding scientists' knowledge, there was um, no known design like this in the literature. I talked with Pratush about it, and he just had said that he has not seen it in textbooks, and it was certainly not a design that was commonplace in any crypto project. And so we've taken a very strong position there, to design a derivation scheme that allows you to go from private key to view key, to address, that allows you to do both encryption and signing directly and natively in this derivation scheme. I think that that's something that's super novel, and it's very useful for the context of privacy preserving applications. And I think that that will manifest over the years to come as people start to design programs around this derivation scheme itself.
Okay, cool. Sweet. We love Yuki's, Luke. Okay, cool.
Me too.
Yeah. Truly. Other questions, you guys? We've got Howard for about 10 more minutes. Things that are more technical, less the schemia. Your question's not really technical, so it doesn't really adhere to like this conversation. We're trying to do more technical stuff. Um, so technical questions and tech questions related to community, related to you guys deploying your applications, those kinds of things. Anything at all. We'll see, some people are typing. Give them a chance, and then if not, we can wrap this up early. Um, okay. What is the best way to contribute to Aleo at this stage, and how to get feedback from the team?
That's a great question. So I think at this stage right now, the best way is to start contributing with ARCs. For instance, there is active discussion about an ARC 20 standard. Similar to also discussions around new features and new evolutions to the staking model, to like, for example, with slashing, there's discussions around increasing the validator count. There's a lot of different conversations that are going on that are at the periphery at the moment. And these are all really going to be in the future a part of that ARCs process. And for those who are new to the ecosystem, ARC stands for Aleo request for comments. It is a governance process that is run by the foundation. And for example, Provable is one of the participants amongst many in the ecosystem that are contributing to ARC-based proposals. This is how I anticipate future changes to be introduced into the network, and also receive kind of social consensus and group consensus before those things land as part of necessary upgrades to Aleo. And we obviously want to make sure that the ecosystem remains competitive and feature rich as time goes on. I highly recommend you participate in the ARCs process.
Cool. Um, All right, is Testnet Beta the last testnet?
Great question. To my understanding, yes. And well, actually, let me rephrase that statement. Uh, Prior to mainnet, yes. I think after mainnet, we will have many testnets in addition to mainnet, starting with at least one testnet and one canary net. Again, I will defer to Alex over at the foundation to set the precedence and standard here. But at least in the source code, you will see that there are three network IDs. There's network ID 0, which is for mainnet, network ID 1, which is for testnet, and network ID 2, which is for canary net. Those are anticipated to be the primary networks that are running post mainnet. Now, pre mainnet, my understanding is that testnet beta is the final one. However, I will always defer to Alex over at the foundation for his final word on these things.
Totally. Okay. Okay. These other questions are getting a little less like focused. So there's someone who's saying we kind of already answered this. Truly benefits the Aleo Foundation and Aleo. Howard already answered that before. So I think unless there are some more technical questions, folks, I think we'll just wrap it early. So we'll see what these last two people have to say, and then we will call it. Okay. Several people are typing. Get your words in quick, guys. Just wondering, why did you choose the name Canary Testnet?
So CanaryNet was actually a term coined, I think, by the foundation. It's a great term because I guess for those who are, yeah, I guess it's a bit of English etymology here, but there's a phrase in English, canary in the coal mine. And this is from like, I think the Industrial Revolution days when people were coal mining, and a canary is a bird you can bring into the coal mine. And basically, like there's oftentimes pockets of gas in a coal mine where there is no oxygen, and if the bird dies, it was usually a very quick sign for the people that were mining to get out because it's clear that the air is not breathable, and it was like a signal, it's like an indicator saying like, hey, something is wrong. And also when the canary's alive and doing well, it's also a signal that things are probably going okay. And so canary is kind of just an etymology that's carried over into this context, and we call it canary net in this case. I think in part because of that. So, yeah, it's a little bit of English history there for you.
Okay, let's do one final question. Pour one out for all the canaries, truly. Okay. Any tea to share on snark.verify?
Great question. See, this is an example of one of the arcs that is currently still being worked on, and it's in the periphery. Uh, we did take a stab at snark.verify. There is a branch in Snark VM where you can actually find it. It is not a great design for a proposal, but we did do a proof of concept to see how difficult and how challenging it would be to integrate this feature. The short answer is it is very difficult. The design of it is not native, and what I mean by that is that it does not natively match what the literal types are in Aleo instructions and in AVM design. And so we need to kind of rethink what that architecture will look like in the future. It'd probably be a hex blob, and we probably need to add support for a hex type into the language in order to make snark.verify feasible. But it's definitely an ARC proposal that's very much still in draft form. It's very early days. I don't think we're anywhere near a place where that will be coming out, but it's still an open conversation and an open discussion. And yeah, like the short of it is that it was really difficult to integrate it natively into the system without it looking like kind of this weird jut out from the rest of the design of the architecture.
Sweet. Um, Sweet. Okay. Let's do one final question. Will go, no go determination launch in early July? What will it look like?
Great question. Well, at the end of the day, go no go is a foundation call, and so I'm pretty sure that the foundation will reach out to many stakeholders, probably including us, in July, and ask whether we feel comfortable with a go no go. But my understanding is that the foundation will be in charge of kind of coordinating the initial validator set and getting everyone to green light the Genesis block, and following the Genesis block's green light, then turned it on basically. But again, I will defer to Alex and Foundation on this. We are just one of many parties here at Provable that are participating in the ecosystem, but Foundation has ultimate say over how this is going to be architected.
Totally. Well, Howard, as always, another fabulous community call. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your wisdom and your time. We appreciate it so much, and we will see you at the next one.
Sounds good. Thank you everyone for your time and your attention. It's always a pleasure. And I will see you guys on the next community call. Thank you so much. Take
Sounds
care.
good. Bye.
Bye.